Gambia.
Every day.
Every day.
All the time.
All the time.
In Mali, Niger, the Gambia, Burkina Faso, Guinea,
Benin.
You can also follow our programs in Ghana, Liberia, Cote d'Ivoire, Sierra Leone, Togo, and across Senegal. Don't miss our daily news bulletins, newsletter, educative and informative programs, and lots more. West Africa Democracy Radio, 94.9 FM. It's you speaking.
We are the radio station all the stations listen to. We are the radio station all the stations listen to. 94.9 FM Dakar. West Africa Democracy Radio, 94.9 FM Dakar. Get the best in radio broadcast.
WADR, promoting dialogue.
It's midday in Dakar and Banjul, 1 o'clock in Abuja and Porto Novo. Good afternoon and many thanks for staying tuned to West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and around the world on wadr.org. Welcome to Newslink. Top of the stories. Nigerian Senate approves President Tinubu's deployment of troops in Benin after Sunday school.
We are very happy with the role that Nigeria continues to play, not just in West Africa, but in the rest of the world.
Former Ivorian President Gbagbo petitions ICC over the 2010-2011 post-election crisis, and civil society in Guinea-Bissau calls for immediate return to constitutional rule despite adopted transitional charter.
In a normal way, how can you have a one-year transition? How are you going to prepare the elections so that you can come back to constitutional normality? It's impossible. And those are just rhetorics.
Ghana's parliament approves budget estimate for key ministries and constitutional bodies. Please stay tuned for details of these stories and more.
Christopher Aticho with Newslink.
Many thanks for joining our broadcast. The Newslink begins in Nigeria, where the Senate has given President Bola Tinubu the green light to deploy troops to Benin as part of an ECOWAS standby force. Our correspondent Usman Umar reports on the decision, the legislative debate, and what it means for stability in the sub-region.
48 hours after the foiled coup in Benin, with assistance from Nigeria and other ECOWAS member states, namely Ghana, Cote d'Ivoire and Sierra Leone, President Bola Tinubu officially moved to legitimize his government's intervention in Cotonou as requested by law. On Tuesday, the Senate approved Tinubu's request to deploy troops in line with the ECOWAS protocols to help restore calm. Senate President Godswill Akpabio described the intervention as necessary for protecting the region.
I believe strongly that the president's action has forestalled the death of many Nigerians, as would have happened in Liberia. In the past, Nigeria went into Liberia when it was late, and that was why a lot of Nigerian soldiers were murdered. But we succeeded with the collaboration of the international community to bring peace to Liberia, and Liberia was not fractured. I think the same thing happened in Sierra Leone and a few other countries. So we are very happy with the role that Nigeria continues to play, not just in West Africa, but in the rest of the world.
The debate in Nigeria's Senate reflected broad concern about rising instability across West Africa, with recent coups in Guinea-Bissau and Madagascar adding to regional anxiety.
Having intervened in 269 times military actions in various countries is intendium with what President Bola Tinubu have actually done in time of the Republic. And I do hope that you will take cognizance of the fact that I said that peace is not the opposite of war.
The Senate's approval letter is expected to be transmitted to President Tinubu immediately. Nigeria's leadership under ECOWAS says The intervention in Benin is aimed at preserving territorial integrity and preventing further escalation. In the meantime, a standby force deployed in Cotonou will provide support to Benin's military as the country readies for the April 2026 presidential election. For Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, Usman Umar reporting from Abuja.
Meanwhile, the intervention of the ECOWAS standby force composed of Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire and Sierra Leone, which currently holds the rotating presidency of the West African Organization, has sparked debates. This comes after France's statement claiming it coordinated and played an important role in fueling last Sunday's attempted military takeover in Benin. Paris says it provided support in the form of surveillance, observation and logistical assistance to Benin's armed forces. This has generated renewed controversy over the question of Western interference in ECOWAS's internal affairs. Sadiq Abba, a journalist and analyst in the Sahel, shares his perspective on this matter.
À mesure que les éléments d'information émergent,
as information continues to emerge, France has played an important role as it is confirmed that President Macron spoke with President Tinubu, who decided to deploy the Nigerian Air Force and ground troops. It is also confirmed, as more details come to light, that President Macron spoke with other heads of state in the region. France's involvement raises questions about ECOWAS's ability to make decisions independently. From my point of view, this could further undermine ECOWAS's credibility and in particular disrupt the reconciliation process between ECOWAS and the AES. You know that the AES countries are highly sensitive to external interference in their internal affairs. This can be counterproductive for ECOWAS as an organization because ultimately it may give the impression that ECOWAS cannot act independently of external actors, even in situations where it has taken measures that helped safeguard democracy in the region. I believe all of this could ultimately be counterproductive, both for France and for ECOWAS.
Sadiq Abba is a journalist and analyst in the Sahel. Civil society organizations in Guinea-Bissau are calling for the immediate return to constitutional order in the country following the November 26 coup. This call was made at a joint press conference held in Dakar on Tuesday, just a day after the adoption of a one-year transition charter by the junta in Bissau. The event, organized by the Africa Jom, Affectivist and the Popular Front, also featured the presence of several former members of the dissolved National Assembly in Bissau, who voiced their frustration regarding the military takeover. Augustin Colley attended the event and filed this report.
Bissau Guinean civil society groups are demanding the immediate proclamation of official election results in accordance with electoral law, along with the prompt installation of the winning candidate. They are also urging ECOWAS to ensure the release of all individuals who have been arbitrarily arrested and detained in Bissau. Madeleine Taylor-Mende, an activist in Guinea-Bissau's civil society, emphasizes these demands.
Why they have been arrested? And from now, if there is no reason, they should be released immediately and without any condition. Every candidate got the election, every candidate got the compilation, and they have the PV of this election. They just need to show up. It's easy. We have only 9 regions, no more than 2 million people. We are supposed to get it the same day of the election.
For many institutions and individuals, the military takeover in Guinea-Bissau was viewed as a hijacking of the legitimate electoral process aimed at obstructing democratic change rather than a coup d'etat. Daniel Ibrahim Masala, a former member of the dissolved National Assembly of Guinea-Bissau, shares this perspective.
Don't forget that our military, we fought 11 straight years to get our independence. Those people should be respected. But it's just so unfortunate that some of them are being manipulated, like in Malo. Because in a normal way, how can you have a one-year transition? How are you going to prepare the election so that you can come back to constitutional normality? It's impossible. And those are just rhetorics.
As a reminder, the military junta in Bissau has proposed a political charter outlining a one-year transitional period. However, ECOWAS is expected to discuss this proposed charter during its summit on December 14, with the expectation of determining a way forward.
Augustin qualified that report. Mali has recorded 5 cases of mpox, also known as monkeypox, according to the latest report from the General Directorate of Health and Public Hygiene. The first case was detected on November 21 on the Guinean border. The patient, whose identity remained unknown, later died. However, health authorities have not provided any details about the 4 other infected individuals. A 6th case initially announced was ultimately reassigned to a neighboring country where the patient was originally from. To prevent any further spread of the disease, health teams have been deployed to the affected district to break the chains of transmission. For its part, the Ministry of Health has ordered an immediate strengthening of epidemiological services or surveillance across the entire country, particularly at the point of entry.
More stories coming up on West Africa Democracy Radio. Newslink continues.
Let me take you to Ghana, where Parliament has approved key allocations reports for the 2026 budget despite a chaotic setting marked by chants and near clashes as the minority disrupted proceedings. The uproar was triggered by a High Court ruling declaring the Bandai seat vacant, followed by Parliament's communication to the Electoral Commission to act on that vacancy, a move the minority insists is unlawful and premature. WADR's Nadi Data report in Accra.
Ghana's parliament descended into chaos on Tuesday as minority MPs mounted a fierce protest over the speaker's communication to the Electoral Commission declaring the Pandai seat vacant. The minority, draped in black, abandoned their benches and massed up in the center of the floor, chanting and demanding an immediate adjournment of the House. The tensions quickly escalated into a near scuffle as some majority MPs moved forward, meeting the minority in a heated confrontation that forced parliament marshals to intervene. Proceedings were drowned out by loud shouts as Speaker Alban Bagbin repeatedly called for order. Despite the disorder, the majority side pressed on. In the midst of the uproar, the majority succeeded in adopting the 2026 budget allocations report for some ministries and constitutional bodies, a critical step towards full approval of the fiscal policy. With tempers still high, the Speaker adjourned the House to Wednesday at noon.
I take it that the House would prefer that we resume sitting at 12 in the noon. Mr. Speaker, 12 o'clock. It's 12 at noon. Honourable members, the House is accordingly...
Ghanaians will keep a close eye on the development in the legislature as the minority hints of continuing with their resistance. For WDR, Nadi Tete, Accra.
Still in Ghana, government has announced it will summon officials of the Israeli embassy in Accra today over what it describes as the unfair treatment of Ghanaian travelers to Israel's Ben Gurion International Airport. According to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, 7 Ghanaians were detained when they arrived in Tel Aviv on Sunday, December 7, 2025, including 4 members of parliament who were traveling to attend an international cybersecurity conference. 5 lawmakers were held for more than 5 hours before they were eventually released. However, 3 other Ghanaian travelers were denied entry and deported back to Ghana. The ministry rejects Israel's explanation for the incident, calling it unacceptable, and said Ghana's diplomatic mission followed all international rules. The government has warned that it may take reciprocal action if the matter is not properly resolved and if similar incidents happened again. Let's turn attention to Côte d'Ivoire, where former President Laurent Gbagbo has called on the International Criminal Court to seek the real culprit of the 2011 post-election crisis. In a letter addressed to his compatriot on Monday, December 7, Gbagbo also requested that the ICC identify those who may have orchestrated and financed it, reminding readers that he was definitively acquitted in 2021. According to several observers, as well as his lawyer, Emmanuel Autet, this pursuit of truth could help foster genuine national reconciliation and allow the country to finally turn the page on this painful chapter of its history. Sankole Janko reports.
Laurent Gbagbo, who recently announced what many analysts described as a withdrawal from political life, has suddenly returned to the forefront to demand justice. The former inmate of the Scheveningen detention center in The Hague is calling on the ICC to once again take up the crimes committed during the 2011 political military crisis. According to his lawyer, Emmanuel Altid, this request is legitimate and driven solely by the desire to restore the truth. Questioned about the existence of concrete elements that could allow the ICC to reopen a case considered closed, Altid said he was optimistic while acknowledging that the process could take time. For Rosalind Aka-Serikpa, a lawyer at the Abidjan Bar, it will fall to the ICC prosecutor to determine whether the request is admissible, with a view either to a possible reopening of a trial or its definitive closure. The trial of Laurent Gbagbo and Charles Blé Goudé before the ICC opened on January 28, 2016 in The Hague on charges of crimes against humanity linked to the post-electoral crisis in Côte d'Ivoire. This historic trial resulted in their final acquittal in 2021. The appeals chamber upheld the trial chamber's decision.
Sankole Janko filed that report. You're still listening to Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and around the world on WADR.org. We are also live on Facebook at WADR English Service, as well as YouTube at WADR News. Here is a reminder of our top stories. Nigeria's Senate approves President Tinubu's deployment of troops in Benin after Sunday's coup. Civil society in Guinea-Bissau calls for immediate return to constitutional rule despite adopted transitional charter. And former Ivorian President Gbagbo petitions ICC over the 2010-2011 post-election crisis, and Ghana's parliament adopts budget estimates for key ministries and constitutional bodies. Still ahead in the news, we do have the press review, the guest interview, and sports news. Please stay with us.
West Africa Democracy Radio. It's you speaking.
Let's talk some diplomatic issues, because Malian Prime Minister General Abdoulaye Maïga arrived in Conakry Tuesday for a friendship and working visit. Together with his Guinean counterpart Amadou Ouriba, he reviewed the main areas of cooperation between Guinea and Mali. Several sectors were at the heart of the discussions, notably the transport of goods via Port of Conakry, border security, agriculture and livestock. Imo Edit has more in this report.
This is General Abdoulaye Maiga's first official visit to Guinea since his appointment as head of the Malian government. Maiga and his Guinean counterpart, Amadou Ouriba, held discussions for several hours, which were later expanded to include ministers from both countries. The talks focus on key areas of bilateral cooperation such as transport of goods through the Port of Conakry, border security, and the agriculture and livestock sectors. Here is Amadou Ouriba.
Anything that concerns Mali or has an impact on Mali will inevitably affect the Republic of Guinea. Receiving cooperation between our two countries will require updating several key structural projects that matter to both Mali and Guinea. During our meeting, we reaffirmed that Guinea remains fully committed to supporting Mali in securing access to the sea. This is part of our duty and responsibility toward the brotherly people of Mali in all circumstances and regardless of any political challenges that may arise.
Guinea's support to Mali in the fight against terrorism, as well as the use of the Port of Conakry for the transit of Malian goods, are highly appreciated by Bamako. The Malian Prime Minister, General Abdoulaye Maiga, assured that cooperation between the countries will be further strengthened.
Mali continues its fight against terrorism while also confronting major economic challenges. As a landlocked country, one of the priorities of His Excellency, General Goita, is to ensure the basic needs of our populations are met, an effort in which we have consistently relied on the brotherly support of the Republic of Guinea. Strengthening and deepening cooperation in all areas with Guinea remains at the top of our agenda.
Regarding the possible sharing of intelligence and the organization of joint patrols along Mali and Guinea shared borders as part of counter-terrorism efforts, both prime ministers emphasized the need to carry out these actions with utmost discretion.
A report by WAD House Conakry correspondent Chiano Alpha Ibrahima Baude and presented by Imo Edit. Let me take you to Liberia as the Coalition for Human Rights Defenders spearheaded a national campaign urging the Liberian government to formally recognize and protect the vital work of human rights defenders. The coalition's commemoration themed Everyday Essentials highlight the indispensable role these individuals play in upholding justice, promoting accountability, and fostering a stable society. The call for enhanced legal protection comes at a crucial juncture as rights defenders globally face increasing threats, including intimidation, harassment, and violence, often perpetuated by state or non-state actors alike. WADR's Monrovia correspondent Abraham Parker reports.
Liberia has made progress in improving its human rights record, but it still lacks a comprehensive legal framework that recognizes and protects the rights and freedoms of human rights defenders. Neodoti Tobert, the group's chairman, highlighted the historic role rights defenders have played in Liberia's justice system, including advocating for marginalized communities, confronting corruption, and upholding the rule of law.
We present our position statement on this day, on this occasion. I want us to get in the spirit of activism. We have come to celebrate and appreciate ourselves.
Christian Mokosa, country representative for the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, stressed the urgent need to transform Liberia's existing human rights defenders policy into binding legislation.
And we are happy and proud to say, because of the work of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights, Liberia now has a ready document which is at the table of the minister pending cabinet approval. And we said we should not leave it at that stage.
For Jala Bapu, executive director of the World and Economic Crimes Court, it is crucial to protect human rights for national stability.
There is never a time that the protection of human rights can be exhausted. On that note, I challenge us to do the right thing, to stop misrepresentation, to stop the unwarranted attacks on our fellow human beings.
The Liberia Coalition for Human Rights Defenders campaign has joined support for numerous civil society organizations, international human rights groups, and diplomatic missions. For Newslink on WADR, Abraham Parker, Monrovia.
The International Federation of Journalists, IFJ, says 111 journalists were killed worldwide, with the Middle East recording the highest toll of 69 deaths, 51 of them in Gaza. In Africa, 9 journalists were killed in 2025, including 6 in Sudan, where conflict has raged since April 2023. The IFJ noted an increase in fabricated charges used to target media workers, with 27 journalists currently imprisoned across the African continent. Thus, as according to IFJ's 2025 reports.
This is the newspaper review. Stay abreast and find out what the top stories are in your country.
This is the newspaper review.
The newspaper review.
For our press review this afternoon, let's join San Donald Mendy in the Gambia.
This is the press review segment coming to you from Banjul, the Gambia. And we're starting with the Standard, and it says $19 million areas paid to Car Power borrowed from the CBG. GPA clarifies capacity constraints for handling cement vessels. Ja Awal explains cement shortage price increment. 16 would-be migrants arrested in a joint security operation. Police say Brikama murder suspect lied about being a former soldier. And we move into the Fourier, and it says Parliament approves $43.4 billion national budget for 2026. Climate change forces Gambian oyster farmers to diversify livelihoods. Ja Owell explains cement shortage. Police officer testifies in trafficking case involving 2 boys. GPA clarifies capacity constraints for handling cement vessels. Finally, to the point, It says Assembly approves 2026 budget with rise in spending of $43 billion. Usain Obojang's sister breaks down in tears as he opens defense. Egyptian Medical Center set to serve Gambia with first ever IVF unit. Environment Ministries PS elected chair at AFWC 25. And finally, Buba Jammeh was sought by friendly fire in Gunjur Beronding land dispute. And that's it for the newspaper review. Back to you in the studios.
Many thanks, Santona Mendy, for the press review in the Gambia.
Politics, analysis on major news, social matters, and all. This is A Guest.
In our guest interview this afternoon, we are joined by former Member of Parliament in Guinea-Bissau, Daniel Ibrahima Salah. He joined other civil society organizations in Bissau, calling for the immediate return to constitutional order following the November 26 coup. He spoke with WADR.
Guinea-Bissau has one of the most transparent electoral systems because in less than 24 hours, less than even 10 hours, you can have all the results because in all the representative, all the candidates have their representative on the polling ballot, and those all the when it's finished, the results are known to all, and even the reports are signed by all the representatives, which means that in the next 24 hours before even this thing happened, everybody knew who won the elections. There's no question about that. This is why we were expecting that in this coming Assembly of Heads of States, ECOWAS Heads of States in the government, a true decision will be taken so that the results will be announced and the president, the winner, be proclaimed and inaugurated, because that we are expecting for. And that can be done even in Abuja.
The National Electoral Commission stated that it is not technically prepared to release the results, and it stated that on the day of the coup, on November 26, the army officers arrived at the Electoral Commission headquarters and they took away all of the materials.
What they did, what they said is correct. That's exactly what happened. But that does not mean that those results they themselves have, others don't have them. Those are exactly the same results that everybody has. It is true that they went, they destroyed everything, they did the computers, the servers and everything. Of course, technically, how could they proclaim the result? Because they had to have the papers, the data in front of them and have them. But can still result from the regional electoral commissions that have all the same, exactly the same results, compile them and announce the results. Because the results that they were supposed to announce are those results sent to them by the regional electoral commissions.
The military junta in Guinea-Bissau has already adopted a political chapter for a one-year transition, for turning power over, and now you're calling for announcement of results. How does this become possible?
No contradiction about that. And I'm here to praise our military, because you people don't forget that our military, we fought 11 straight years to get our independence. Those people should be respected. But it's just so unfortunate that some of them are being manipulated.
Who are?
Some politicians like Mbalo for himself, like Mbalo. Because this chart, in a normal way, how can you have a one-year transition? How are you going to prepare the election so that we can come back to constitutional normality? It's impossible. And those are just rhetorics. They are just saying 1 year. Who knows if these things are let prosper as gone, they are not going to stay for more years. Because all these steps that they are taking are unconstitutional, are unlawful. So they don't make sense.
And that is the former Member of Parliament in Guinea-Bissau, Daniel Ibrahima Salah. And in the world of sports, there is some development regarding the upcoming AFCON, and Abdullah Hassan joins me in studio. Abdullah? Good afternoon, Chris, and good afternoon to you, our esteemed listener. Indeed, Chris, there's a lot happening in the sporting world, especially as the 2025 AFCON remains at the center of continental and global sporting updates. The continental body has announced free broadcast of more than 30 matches from the group stage to the final of the 2025 tournament. The live broadcast, however, authorized on public channels on the African continent. Among the matches authorized for broadcast on free-to-air television are several group stage clashes, including Morocco versus Comoros, Egypt versus Zimbabwe, the face-off between Senegal and Botswana, Algeria and Burkina Faso, and the much-anticipated clash of two giants, the defending champions, Cote d'Ivoire and Cameroon. Still on AFCON, Africa's reigning champion, Cote d'Ivoire unveiled this list that came with several surprises. The national coach emerged on Tuesday, named 26 players, including several names that have sparked strong interest among Ivorian supporters. The core of the team is intact, featuring Frank Casey, Sebastian Haller, and Ibrahim Sangare. Notably, Wilfred Zaha makes his return, a major boost for the Ivorian attack. And that's it on sports. Thank you very much, Abdullah Hassan, with the details in the world of sports. And with that, we've come to the end of this afternoon's edition of Newslink on West Africa Democracy Radio, broadcasting on 94.9 FM and around the world on WADR.org. Thank you for listening, and many thanks to Ismaila Kamara and Mustafa Sek for the technical assistance. I am Christopher Ticho. Good afternoon and enjoy the rest of our broadcast.
And many thanks to you for listening to Newslink via Hot 104.3 FM, Newmi FM 94.0,
Hilltop Radio 104.7 FM,
and Veritas Radio 102.9 in Banjul, the Gambia. We also appreciate our listeners in Liberia via Alternative Youth Radio 98.9 FM, Lofa County,
Radio Kagama 94.5 FM, Niba County, DCN Radio 91.3 FM, Riverside County, Wakat FM Radio, Baga, Liberia, Radio Gulf FM 91.3 Sierra Leone in Nigeria, and Love 104.5 FM Abuja.
For you listening via Radio Pad 95.1 Damango, Savannah region, and on Royals FM